Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to F2 Worlds, the channel where we talk all things Final Fantasy. In today's video, we will be exploring the life story of a young character who had his whole life ahead of him. Unfortunately, the condition of the world he lived in prevented him from being able to live out his life, and his fate ultimately affected the overall character development of his older brother. What I liked about this character's life story is that we see fragments of it in both Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. So we will be able to put the pieces together and tell his story, and we will definitely be referencing both games throughout the video. Also, according to the game, his appearance also looks similar to another popular character residing in the same world. So today, we will be exploring the life of Chappu, Wakka's younger brother. Chappu was born in Besaid sometime after Wakka was born. He grew up with Wakka and Lulu in Besaid after their parents died, being joined by Yuna shortly afterwards. Being the elder brother, Wakka felt he needed to protect and raise his younger brother, so he started to act more as a father than as the older brother, which Chappu did not like. This was evident in Final Fantasy X-2, when Wakka went searching for a sphere that Chappu claimed contained an image of what their parents looked like. But we can see through a sphere given to Wakka by the Gullwings that he made the whole thing up, talking about the days of their childhood and wished that Wakka was just the older brother to him instead of the parent. Unfortunately, the small detail about the relationship between the brothers influenced Chappu's upbringing in Spira. At some point in his life, he joined the Besaid Aurochs alongside Wakka. He also grew feelings for Lulu. This is evident throughout some of the cutscenes in Final Fantasy X whenever Chappu was brought up. He said he would propose to her after the Aurochs won the cup, and also declared his love for her before joining the Crusaders, which is an important and life-changing decision. He was convinced to join the Crusaders by his friend Luzu, being driven by his desire to protect Lulu from sin. This was a decision that was rejected by both Lulu and Wakka, but Chappu went ahead with this decision. Also driven in part by his desire to be independent from Wakka by making his own decisions. Before departing, however, Wakka offered him the Brotherhood, the sword he later gives to Tidus after he arrives to Besaid. But Chappu refused to take it, instead fighting with a Machina weapon. From there, he marched to war alongside his war buddy Beklum. We know this detail from Final Fantasy X-2, when Beklum claims he fought with Chappu, and that is how he heard about Wakka, but was disappointed as Wakka did not meet up to his expectations based on what Chappu has told him about Wakka. Unfortunately, this would be the last we would hear of the young Blitzball player and Crusader, due to him perishing in a battle between the Crusaders and Sin a year before the events of Final Fantasy X, his body being crushed at the Jose shore. And this revelation affected Wakka's views of life and Spira drastically. The first view he developed was a personal hatred for the Al Bhed due to his brother taking the Al Bhed Machina weapon instead of Brotherhood, as well as not believing in their futile attempts of defeating Sin, which consequently results in a development of a stronger faith in Yevon, believing that the final summoning is the only way to deal with Sin, despite it being only a temporary solution. Around a year later, Tidus arrives to Besaid. His striking resemblance to Wakka's late brother resulted in Wakka easily developing a friendship with Tidus. His resemblance is not just based on appearance, so this tells us that Chappu was confident in Chiri, similar to Tidus. This quick bond of friendship annoyed Lulu due to Wakka's inability to move on from the past and letting their resemblance influence his impression of Tidus. This is further expanded on when Wakka gives the Brotherhood sword to Tidus, and during their conversations on the ship. Despite Wakka believing that Chappu may still be alive upon seeing Tidus, Chappu's death is ultimately confirmed and accepted when he is seen on the far plane when visited by the party. We also see his developed view of his hatred of the Al Bhed during Operation Mihen, his sudden change of view of Riku when he found out she was Al Bhed, although he comes to realize that the Al Bhed are not bad later on in the game, but also finding out that Luzu, upon realizing that he had convinced Chappu to join the Crusaders, further angered Wakka and ended up punching him. When it comes to Lulu, she was also deeply affected by the death of Chappu, but we do not see it on the surface, considering their relationship and his intentions to marry her, as well as his desire to protect her being his main motivation to join the Crusaders. Unfortunately, under the circumstances of Spira being ravaged by Sin, many people's lives have been claimed and cities destroyed, and Chappu falls under that long list of people who have lost their lives to Sin. Chappu was a person who had his whole life ahead of him, and his cheery and confident personality was a positive contrast to the overall mood of the world of Spira. And this ends the story of the young Blitzball player. Let me know what you guys think of Chappu and his role in the game, and how he affected the character development of Wakka and Lulu. Also, let me know what you think of this video and suggest topics in the comment section below, as well as checking out my Instagram and Discord. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and that, as they say, is that.